Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I personally was not going to make a video about this or even mention it or talk about it, but I'm getting fed up with the radical left trying to blame the terribleness of this show on the fans, saying that it's their fault that the show isn't great, not the fact that the show content is absolutely terrible and they're trying to push a woke agenda. And when I'm saying woke, I'm talking about the radicalization of, or the radical sexualization of all of us. They're ramming it down our throats, and they want you guys to think and believe that the LGBT whatever needs to be represented in literally every ounce of a show. And the fans are going, no, this is not what we want or signed up for, and we're not going to stand for it. But guess what, people? If you are a fan of Star Wars, you are the problem, according to this article that I'll read in just a moment. Now, what show am I talking about? The Acolyte, which happens to be according to a uh, journalist, I guess you could call him that, as well as the showrunner who happens to be part of the LGBT whatever group, uh, the gayest Star Wars film around. Now, let me just be clear. I don't have any issue if you want to, if you're an adult and you are part of the LGBT whatever group and you keep to yourself and you do your own thing and you don't try and force or ram this down anyone else's throats, especially in movies, because as we know, Disney has rammed this agenda down everyone's throats and nobody cares for it. Nobody likes it. And we can't seem to get any film that nowadays, that is, it's very rare. The last film that didn't like show any of this kind of nonsense was June, and also Shogun, last show that I watched, and same with Blue Eyed Samurai. All great shows and all great films, but alas, Disney has ruined Star Wars. Disney has ruined Marvel. Disney has ruined Indiana Jones. Disney has ruined so many amazing things that could have been great, but they wanted to double down on this incredible nonsense. They're losing a lot of money, but alas, we don't want to listen to the fans and what the fans want. We want to continue to push this radicalized agenda down everyone's throats. They're not realizing that they're just going to continue to go broke. And it's sad to see because people are going to suffer as a result of their stupidity, of these ideological mad people running around thinking that it's actually a good idea to produce this kind of ridiculous crap. I'm getting sick and tired of it. And I'm sure every single fan of the Star Wars franchise, but not just the Star Wars franchise, but every other movie that is coming out at the moment is fed up. They're tired. Not many people are actually going to the movies nowadays. The last movie that I watched was 2 years ago. No, it wasn't 2 years ago. It was about a year ago, and it was Sound of Freedom. That was the last movie that I watched in the cinema. That was a while ago, believe it or not. But I just don't have the desire or the urge anymore to go and watch a movie in the cinemas because it's just repetitive content. There's no originality anymore. And it's just pushing, or they're just pushing this work agenda down everyone's throat. So here we go. The Acolyte, which IMDb has a 4.4 star rating out of 10, which is absolutely garbage and shocking. 25,294 ratings. And that's not good, man. So there's a mixed bag. Not only are people saying, like the Critical Drinker and Nerdronic, who I appreciate their opinion quite considerably, they're saying that there's no originality. There's literally the whole film is based around diversity, equity, inclusion, which you can clearly see. It's like literally spot the white person, you won't, because there ain't no white people. And the only white person in the film was covered up in makeup. You just can't make this stuff up. You really can't. They're just trying to get away. And also, I saw another interview. I believe it was Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. Can't remember which one it was. But one of the actors in the show, she was saying the goal was to upset white people and everyone started laughing. I mean, they're literally trying to piss off every single fan of the Star Wars franchise. Like, you are all downright idiots. You've got a small little minority group yelling and screaming, saying, we want diversity, we want to be seen, and we want to feel like we are represented in this show. But alas, Every single other fan, which happens to be millions upon millions, they're going, no. And apparently they're blaming all of this, the failure of the Acolyte, on angry nerds in their bedrooms. Does that make me an angry nerd? I didn't watch it. You know why I didn't watch it? Because it's garbage. That's why. Saw the trailer. That was enough. So Rotten Tomatoes, 27% average audience score. 90% for the tomatometer, because all of the people that reviewed this were paid off. The marketing budget for the Acolyte is tremendous. I've never seen a marketing budget like this before, because it's everywhere. They're everywhere, man. Like the showrunner, the actors, they're like they're spreading this like there's no tomorrow. They're spending a great deal of money to try and push this film or this show, because they know it sucks. So here is an opinion from, I believe it is Inverse. The Acolyte isn't ruining Star Wars. No, you are. Lucasfilm's latest series is the franchise's most promising yet, except it's not. But fans are too blinded by their hate to see it. Well, your opinion clearly shows that you are very much in line with the ideology that is constantly being spread. And what a way to make more money than to ostracize all the fans, right? And blame everything on the fans. Well done. Solid journalism, man. Solid. No one hates Star Wars more than those who claim to be Star Wars fans. We would actually like Star Wars if it was George Lucas, the originals. We love Star Wars because it was original, because it's different, because it actually is a lot of fun, it's entertaining, and there's no woke messaging being pushed down your throat. But now the wokeries, the woke monkeys have come in and gone, no, we need to make it all about representation. The last Star Wars thing that I watched was The Bad Batch, which even then, like, it's a cartoon. Sure, the past few years have given the fandom plenty to critique, a lot to critique. The sequels splintered the fan base beyond recognition, and Lucasfilm's efforts to expand the galaxy on the small screen have been mixed at best. I don't think George Lucas really cares anymore, because the guy's a billionaire. He sold it off. He's done. Like, leave it be. Do whatever you want with it. Which, as a creator, I'm going, I wouldn't allow these monkeys to touch my creation with a 10-foot pole and destroy it. But Lucasfilm doesn't care because he's got all money. Why would he care? And in some cases, criticism is inevitable. Not everyone will find something to like in the franchise's recent output. Nobody likes anything that they've put out. At a certain point, though, the discourse reaches a fever pitch, and even Lucasfilm's most promising projects get swept up in the drama. It may be a promising project, but why are you saying that it's promising in the first place? Something can be promising, but then when it actually comes out, it's total garbage. It's total nonsense. And that's what's happened with the Acolyte. And I don't think many people were actually really looking forward to the Acolyte coming out anyway. The moment the trailer came out, you could tell it was ratioed to oblivion. The amount of people that disliked the trailer was in enormous excess. It was great to see, though. The Acolyte is not the first Star Wars project to face the brunt of fan backlash, and it won't be the last either. But the new live action series is also one of the best additions to the galaxy far, far away in a long time. How in the world can you say such a thing? Oh my goodness. Embracing decades of nostalgia while also thinking critically on the franchise's legacy. The storyline is terrible. Just look at The Critical Drinker. I'll have you know, like, the guy could barely get through it all because it's boring. They kill off the one good actor and the one good character within the first couple of minutes of the series. And yet they're going, oh, that's all right. That's totally fine. And then the rest of the series just goes downhill, totally boring. My younger brother, who loves Star Wars and is obsessed with it, couldn't stand it. Now, I don't really trust my younger brother's opinion when it comes to movies all the time, but I really do believe what he said in regards to this. It also might be the most diverse Star Wars story yet. There we have it, my friends. It is the most diverse Star Wars story yet, and that is why it is the most profound, because it's so diverse. And yet it's not really diverse in the sense that it includes white people or regular people. No, everyone's got to be gay, they've got to be trans, they've got to be whatever part of the Rainbow Outfit Mafia. And it's Star Wars, for goodness sake. Coming to a galaxy near you tomorrow, the LGBT nonsense. Welcome it with open arms, people. And while that's definitely a boom for marginalized fans, how many marginalized fans do you think the Star Wars franchise actually has if you're being ratioed into oblivion, mate? Or if the tomato is 27% and IMDb is 4.4, you've ostracized and you've removed all the actual fans for a small little minority base, man. Dumb idea, dumb decision, but you do you, man. It made the Acolyte the target of a vocal splinter of the fandom. Why do you think that is? Ask yourself that very important question. You're not giving the fans what they want. Whether you know them as the fandom menace or a cluster of blue checkmark users on Twitter, it's impossible to escape their orbit. The same folks that review bomb diverse swings like Marvel's Eternals and the Lord of the Ring prequel, The Rings of Power, which, by the way, still haven't seen and will never see. I didn't mind the Eternals, but we'll never watch Lord of the Rings because I do not want my J.R.R. Tolkien to be destroyed by woke monkeys, which is what they did with Rings of Power. Have now set their sights on the Acolytes. To hear them tell it the series is the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars, and its showrunner, Leslie Headland, is just a fiendish as Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, which, by the way, Kathleen Kennedy is responsible for ruining a lot of the Star Wars and everything else that she's a part of. At the moment, it's just all turning to crap. I love the South Park episode, put a chick in it and make her gay. That was just brilliant. It's totally right. Everyone is afraid of Kathleen Kennedy because she's a woman. She's a powerful woman in the industry. No one wants to stand up to her. And alas, it's so true. South Park, that episode, put a chick in it and make her gay. To them, the Acolyte's woke agenda, according to this person, is something to be feared. We're just sick of it, mate. I don't fear it. I'm sick of it. There's a difference. It's ruining Star Wars. It's poisoning pop culture itself. It needs to be stopped by any means necessary. Exactly, it does. It needs to be stopped right away because I'm getting sick and tired of this being rammed down my throat. I don't like seeing it, and so does all the fans. We realize how ridiculous that sounds, right? No, I don't realize how ridiculous it sounds because it's actually true. It's the reality. You just said the reality, but now you're saying it's ridiculous. Come on, mate. God, I hope so. But if not, let's try this. The Acolyte is not actually ruining Star Wars, but the bigoted backlash is definitely ruining the fun for everyone else. The bigoted backlash. So why are you using that terminology when nobody hates women? It's not about hating women, mate. It's about hating the LGBT radical sexualization that is being shoved in our face in a Star Wars film. And also the storyline is terrible. Don't listen to the fans. Listen to your own bias agenda and call everyone bigots and everything else. It's not outright shocking to see something like the Acolyte marred by racist, misogynistic. There we go. Throw out all the words. So all the fans that are sitting in their bedroom wanting something good are they're racist, they're misogynistic, and they're bigots. And they're also probably transphobes as well and homophobes and the whole like. They throw out all these terminologies and they don't really know what they mean because they don't make sense in the context of the situation. And even anti-LGBT backlash. The Star Wars devotees would share multiple bad faith treaties about the series on YouTube or tank its audience score on Rotten Tomatoes because it sucks. Don't you get that? It's just part of the course at this point. This, after all, the same fandom that launched consistent attacks against actors like John Boyega, Kelly Marie Tran, and Daisy Ridley, the same fandom They were publicly admonished by Ewan McGregor himself when Obi-Wan Kenobi faced similar backlash. Because again, it all sucked. The problem is that nothing has changed. In the 10 years since the vocal minority suddenly cried out against diverse casting and more nuanced storytelling, they've yet to actually learn their lesson. Their arguments are bleeding into even the casual discourse surrounding the Acolytes. Comments on set, design, and screenwriting have turned into misogynistic microaggressions, there we go, against Headland. Even critiques on the series have been weaponized by its haters. There's no room for nuance when it comes to the Acolytes. You either stand with the series, flaws and all, or you're irrevocably, or you're against it. Well, here's the thing, mate. You understand that there's flaws, but if you want to accept those flaws, by all means, because there seems to be a lot of them. The origins of this toxicity aren't difficult to figure out. At the end of the day, it boils down to entitlement. Oh, wonderful word there, mate. Entitlement. Many male fans feel like they own the franchise. Oh, that's what it comes down to. It's all about male empowerment, man. Can't have the patriarchy saying what they actually want in the Star Wars franchise. But literally, one of the main characters, Princess Leia, was a female. Everyone loved her. Anyway, and I determined to safeguard it from anyone that could challenge that ownership. That makes it hard to dissipate groups to coexist. And it's even harder for any non-white, non-male creatives. Man, Mace Windu is black. We loved him. There was diversity in that. Hoping to tell stories within the franchise. What about Jabba the Hutt? What about all the other aliens who are part of it? They're not diverse enough for you? No. We've got to include their sexuality and how they lean. Nobody cares, man. Seriously, we don't care. What began as a relatively niche issue has become Lucasfilm's biggest hurdle moving forward. The Acolyte can weather the storm. After all, it's been well received by critics. Oh, the critics you mean that have been paid off? Nobody cares what critics think or say anymore, mate. I'll have you know, nobody goes to the movies because of what a critic has said. I don't, because I don't like what they have to say most of the time. They're usually wrong. The only critics that I like and enjoy their takes on things are Critical Drinker and Nerdronic and several others that I won't mention. But anyway, but what about the fandom and its relationship to those guiding the franchise now? As the discourse spirals out of control, it's getting harder to ignore it outright. There's no easy way out, but something has to change. Otherwise, this vocal minority will end up ruining Star Wars for the rest of us. Well, you may think they're a vocal minority, mate, but they're a vocal majority, and we are sick and tired. We're fed up with it. If they were the vocal minority, then Star Wars wouldn't be having much of a problem. But it's because of the vocal majority, Star Wars is having a major problem. So are so many other movies. We're getting tired of it all. We're getting fed up. We want something new. We want something good. Not what you're talking about. We don't want any of that. We want what we are actually after, which we have mentioned: a good storyline, good character development, and something that actually makes sense for once. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But alas, maybe we're asking for too much, or I don't think we are. But anyway, so I thought I'd have my say on this nonsense because, like I said a moment ago, I'm getting tired of it, and so are you guys. Anyway, you guys take care. You be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.